Welcome to Roll to Hit Gaming's Impressions. In this video, we conclude our 3-part game showcase. We've gone into the box, through the rules, and out onto the table. The time has come to tell you what we thought of the game. Thank you for joining us. Let's head into the game room for your Roll to Hit Gaming Impressions host.
Welcome back. I'm Lucas from Roll to Hit Gaming, and today I'll give you my impressions of Pandemic: Reign of Cthulhu. We've opened the box, gone through the rules, and shown you a playthrough of this reimagining of classic Pandemic using H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. Did that work? Or is this simply Pandemic with a theme pasted on? Before we get into that, let's look at how the components measure up. From a components perspective, the easy star of this game is the miniatures. They're made of good plastic, though the investigators can be a little flimsy. While all of the investigator figures in our set were just fine, I've seen some with bendy parts, but experienced modelers should be able to resolve these issues if they arise. The detail on each set of figures is good. Even the cultists, though small, look nice on the game board. The miniatures really complement the theme of this game, where wooden or plastic blocks simply wouldn't have fit. The art on the clue and summoning cards is simple and well done. The vibrant colors are a nice change from the board, which is visually a little dark, and in the wrong light doesn't pop as well as it could. The Old One cards also help to lighten the board a bit. The turquoise color is a little aggressive, but you get used to it quickly. The art on the Old One cards is simply top-notch, and the text on these cards is easy to read and understand. Perhaps the best art in the game can be found on the relic cards. Less horrific than the old ones, they visually represent ancient and mystical artifacts in an elegant and thematic way. Again, the text is easy to read and understand. From a quality perspective, the cards are fine, though they could be a little thicker with a stronger finish, but the biggest drawback of the cards in this game are the black borders. As we all know, the more you use black border cards, the more wear they will show. There's plenty of room in the box should you choose to sleeve and protect your cards. The board itself is a nice size, similar to the size of the board in classic Pandemic. And while visually a little dark and muted, the colors representing each city are fairly easy to spot, and the art and graphic design is nice. There are spaces on the board for the clue, summoning, and Old One cards, so only the cultist and Shoggoth figures and the relics have to be kept off the board, giving this game a nice footprint on your table. Finishing out the components, the tokens are all standard cardboard token stock, which should hold up nicely, and the sanity die is in the same turquoise tone used liberally in this game, but is good quality and the results are easy to read. Before we talk about gameplay, I do feel that I should tell you that I'm not really into the Cthulhu theme. It's not that I'm against it, but typically when games are announced with this theme, I have a very meh reaction. However, when this game was announced, I thought this one might be interesting. Consider the premise of Pandemic, a group fighting cooperatively against the spread of 4 diseases across the globe. In Pandemic: Reign of Cthulhu, the players represent a group fighting cooperatively against the spread of madness, which if left unchecked will bring the Old Ones, including Cthulhu himself, upon the world. The premise and mechanics would seem to work for both themes, right? Assuming you're familiar with classic Pandemic, you'll have no trouble jumping into this version. At its most basic level, i.e. move around the board eliminating threats, trying to meet your 4 objectives, it's very similar. So let's talk about a few things that are different and whether or not they work. While the basic idea of travel, discard a card to move to City X, or discard a card matching the city you're in to move to anywhere on the board are similar, the board in Pandemic: Reign of Cthulhu doesn't wrap, which limits your travel efficiency. In this game, the bus option is only available if you're on a bus station space, but from there it opens up and simplifies travel. Discard a Kingsport card and move to any space in Kingsport rather than a specific city in a region. This simplification of travel allows you to bounce around the board a little easier, which is a must because instead of fighting 4 diseases, you're battling just 2 types of enemies, cultists and Shoggoths. While there are a number of cultists, it won't be long in a game before you realize the supply is running low, and running out of cultists is one of the 5 ways to lose. Another is to run out of Shoggoths. There are only 3 of these figures in the box, and while they do come out less frequently, they can be considerably more difficult to get off the board. These mechanics help create the tension that we all know and love from classic Pandemic in a way that really works for this theme. The Old One mechanic adds a neat evolution to each game. While not a legacy mechanic in that it permanently changes your experience from game to game, each individual game is going to play out differently based on the old ones you use and the old ones which weren't used, and the order in which they're revealed. This adds a layer of replayability to this game without needing expansions to facilitate that. Now, this game is more random than its predecessor, in large part due to the sanity mechanic. Basically, you have 4 sanity, and circumstances such as using relics or encountering Shoggoths will test that sanity. If you lose all your sanity, your investigator isn't out of the game, they merely lose an action and their abilities are altered. I think this chaotic element complements the theme and just works. If you're a Cthulhu fan, I think you're used to a bit of chaos in your games, and I think you'll like this as well. Overall, if you like Pandemic and you like Cthulhu, you should stop listening and get this game immediately. If you're turned off by Cthulhu, this game will do little to change that as it relies heavily on that theme. Now, I don't know if this game will replace classic Pandemic for anyone. However, the different twists, such as the old ones changing the game state as you play, make it interesting enough to justify space on the same shelf. As I said, Cthulhu really does nothing for me, and yet I love this game. The thematic implementation works well, and does not destroy the things I like most about Pandemic, that cooperative race against time to save the day. For these reasons, I'm giving Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu a die rating of D12. I think this is a great game, and I highly recommend it. For Roll to Hit Gaming, I'm Lucas. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining Roll to Hit Gaming to see and hear our impressions of this game. Details of our dice rating system can be seen on your screen now. If you liked what you saw and want to see more, please click the like and subscribe button. Find us on Facebook and Twitter. Join in the conversation in the comments below. We'll see you next time, and as always, I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.